My mama called, seen you on Twitter. Son said shit done changed. Ever since your first song, I bought it all. Ever since the first dip, they said it's tulip mania. Now they always say congratulations. Flung so hard, avoided liquidation. They ain't ever have the hands or patience. We kept holding, never sold, and look, we made it. Yeah, we made it. They were never there, no, yeah. Now I'm jumping out the Lambo, yeah. And my life moves slow-mo, yeah. When I open Crypto Pro, yeah. I'm a genius with the finance, yeah. And I buy it all on Binance, yeah. Everybody wanna have it, yeah. But they didn't buy it last year, yeah. Everyone wishing that they had bought it. But it's too late now cause they can't afford it. They were too scared just to buy at the bottom. I was on BitMEX 100x long and yeah. If you got BTC then put your ledges to the sky. How can I make sense? I got Satoshis on my mind. Yeah, they called me crazy when I told them they should try. Now my family's in my inbox asking how to buy. My mama called, seen you on Twitter. Son said shit done changed. Ever since your first song, I bought it all. Ever since the first dip, they said it's tulip mania. Now they always say congratulations. Flung so hard, avoided liquidation. They ain't ever have the hands or patience. We kept holding, never sold, and look, we made it. Yeah, we made it. We were patient. Yeah, we were patient. Now we can scream that we made it. And everywhere we go, they say congratulations. Ooh, yeah.
Good morning, everyone, and happy new all-time highs to at least the 7th. Oh, sorry, I'm going to fix this microphone. Yeah, that works. Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Bitcoin for Breakfast. And what a great day it is to have a Bitcoin for Breakfast episode. I am sure that most of the people watching this show today are living in a country where Bitcoin has already reached all-time highs, where there is not a single Bitcoin investor anywhere that has currently gone into a nominal loss against the local currency. We're going to talk, of course, a bit about how that happened, how it's possible that Bitcoin is reaching all-time highs in different countries at different times, and who's next, what is going to happen in the next few days. Now, it turns out we may have started this show at a very fortuitous point in time, because Bitcoin is pumping as we speak. In the last few minutes, even Bitcoin has jumped a few $100s and is getting closer to the infamous 58K gang. I'm going to just jump forwards a bit in the show just to show you what the numbers look like right now. Oh, let's see. I did that wrong. There we go. Yeah. So we are at 57,655 right now. We're just $300 away from finally reaching back to the infamous 58K gang. For those of you who do not know this, back in 2021 and 2021, we were ranging around 58K for so long, for so many months, and you see this happen in several intervals. You had one in February 21. You had one in May 21, you had one in September 21, in October 21, and in November 21. So obviously, 58K became a important marker for a lot of Bitcoiners. We call ourselves 58K gang. Well, it's been proposed to rename this to 0.058 million. So this is 0.058 million returning to us at the turn of the tide. Anyways, we're going to get back to this, but before we get that far, we're going to go through our usual numbers, look at the block height, look at the chart a bit, check how the mempool is doing, and then we're going to talk about how all-time high has been reached and what might happen next. All right, cool. It's not strange. We're going to tackle this question, Svein, but it's not strange at all. At all. I am a joke. All right, let's move on to our brief intro. We're going to be looking at, let's see, here we go. This is the time chain calendar. If you're new to Bitcoin, the time chain is another word for the blockchain, because the blocks count time in Bitcoin terms. So right now, the time in Bitcoin terms is 832,340. That's the number of blocks created since the 3rd of January 2009, when Bitcoin was started. That means that we are less than 8,000 blocks away from the magical number of 840,000 blocks, which is an important number because at 840,000 blocks, the Bitcoin subsidy, the number of Bitcoin released every 10 minutes or so, will be cut in half to 3.125. There's only 7,660 blocks to go, which means that we are already 96% through this cycle for Bitcoin, this era, as we call it, this epoch, as we call it, the fourth epoch in Bitcoin's history. You will hear a lot more about the halving coming up over the next few months. It's currently estimated to happen on April 21st, 2024. So that's just about 2 months from now. And as that gears up, I think you will be swamped on Twitter and in the mainstream media about news about the Bitcoin halving, because historically it has been associated with rather big Bitcoin moves. If we zoom out on the weekly chart now, let's make that a monthly chart on Bitcoin. We can see, of course, this is not news to most people, but I like to cover it every time for anyone who might be joining Bitcoin in this moment. You will see that Bitcoin, after its 2013 halving, went on a very rapid rise. After its 2016 halving, it was the same, up to 20,000. And now we had a halving in 2020, which led us to 69,000. And now, of course, we are having another halving in 2 months. But the one thing that is different this time is that we are already at almost all-time high before the halving has even happened. So traditionally, Bitcoin makes its big move up to all-time highs after the halving. This year, we are front-running the halving so far. So why is that happening? Let's talk about that in the later segments of the show. Since I have named the show Bitcoin All-Time High, I suppose I should show you how the all-time highs are looking around the world. Some of them are already familiar to most of you. You may have heard about Turkey, you may have heard about Argentina. These are countries where the currency is so weak that the Bitcoin all-time high has been reached a long time ago. And at this point, the Bitcoin price in local currency is going above and beyond our imaginations. This is also perhaps a precursor to what we can expect in other currencies. Even though these currencies are ahead of the US dollar in price development, they are not different. Fundamentally, all fiat currencies are equally weak against Bitcoin, even though the dollar is stronger against other fiat currencies at the moment. This is the milkshake theory, the theory that all other currencies will collapse into the dollar, which will then collapse into Bitcoin over time. So yeah, these currencies we've seen for a while have reached all-time highs. What's new is that you now have even the nominally richest country in the world reaching all-time highs. You see here we had our previous all-time high around, let's see, 585,000, and we are now at 612,000 Norwegian kroner per Bitcoin. So yeah, all-time highs are being broken everywhere. As far as I know, there's about 16 countries around the world that currently has a new all-time high in local currency. The latest one, I believe, is Israel. I did try to find that. Did I manage to find it? Yeah, here we go. So Israel, no, this is a Swedish kroner. Yeah, well, Swedish kroner took a new all-time high just after Norwegian kroner, so worth showing as well. But if we had shown you the Israeli shekel, you would have seen that it is the latest currency to set a new all-time high against Bitcoin. Now, we're going to get back to this and talk about why, but let's finish our little intro with the numbers first. Anything else we should cover in here? The Bitcoin dominance is on its way up. Again, value is being sucked out of Ethereum, which for a short while looked like it was making a dramatic comeback for a few hours from the 12th of February until the 26th of February. It had a pretty significant rise from 0.5 to 0.6. And if we look at the chart, it wouldn't be, even if Ethereum goes to zero, which I believe it will do eventually, a little pump like this is not that unusual. And it may take some time before we see the ultimate death of Ethereum, but it is inevitable, and that is reflected in the chart over the last few years. Okay. We can, let's mention gold as well, because gold is not making any significant positive moves, unlike Bitcoin. Some of you have observed that in the new ETFs that have come out, the inflows to Bitcoin are tremendous, and gold, meanwhile, is experiencing outflows from their exchange-traded funds. So more and more people are placing their long-term investments in Bitcoin over gold. It even looks like people are sending their wealth out of gold into Bitcoin. This, of course, exactly what we have theorized and prophesized, but it is always interesting to see things play out the way we thought. And now the relative Bitcoin gold, let's see here. You can see Bitcoin, the Bitcoin price in gold is not at all-time highs yet. It's very similar to the USD actually. The USD is a little bit ahead. So I guess gold is perhaps the last currency to fall in terms of all-time highs. But you can see Bitcoin has made very dramatic and significant moves to the upside against gold over the last 12 months. All right, the mempool is remarkable these days because of its extremely low fees. We have been covering the mempool since November, and I think this is the lowest fees we've ever seen for Bitcoin transactions. If you're not familiar with the mempool, it's a great way to explore the blockchain. You can go into every single block that's coming and how it might look, and browse through existing blocks, existing transactions. This is the transparency of the blockchain that you may have heard so much about. And as you can see right now, you need about 18 sats per byte to be included in the next block within the next 10 minutes. That is very cheap. We have seen prices up to 300-400 sats per byte, which obviously brings the cost of sending a transaction up 40x from here. So if you have UTXOs you want to consolidate, or if you just don't like to spend many cents on any transaction, this is the time to do it. All right, sweet. That's the intro. Let's move on to our questions. We have a few small questions in the chat, and then I'm going to play you another little video for the occasion before we go through today's topic, which is the Bitcoin all-time highs. Why are they different in different countries? How have they been reached, and what can we expect next? All right. First of all, we had a question from Svein. I did not say good morning today, by the way, to every single person in the chat, because there are so many people showing up. But good morning to every last one of you. I really appreciate that you take time out of your day to share with me. That's really very inspiring. It is strange, says Svein Ørnes. Svein Ørnes is an academic and actually deserves credit for starting the first Bitcoin course in higher education in Norway. And he asks, it's very strange that almost all Bitcoiners forget to look at inflation when they celebrate the all-time high. I've heard this statement quite a few times. I find it very, very odd, because an all-time high is always nominal. It has nothing to do with purchasing power. When nobody is saying that Bitcoin, you can now buy more for your Bitcoin than you ever could. No, we're saying you can now buy more Norwegian kroners for Bitcoin than you ever could. That is what an all-time high against Norwegian kroner means. So inflation is exactly what we account for when we talk about why Bitcoin is reaching a new all-time high, for example, in Norwegian kroner, so much sooner, 20% sooner than the USD. It is, of course, because our monetary policy has weakened our currency more than the USD. So inflation is exactly what those 20% is. So yeah, I think that's accounted for, and we are only talking about nominal all-time highs because that's the only all-time highs that exist. I don't know, I suppose we could create some kind of basket to measure our purchasing power all-time highs as well, but we risk going down the route of the central statistical agencies calculating inflation, if we go that way. GM Flow, good to see you guys tumble in a little bit late here. Let's see, we have a question from Internet Protocol. Welcome to the kingdom. I don't think I've seen you here before. It's good to have you. I am all in on CLSK, Bitcoin miners. Do you have any thoughts about when it might be okay to sell for Bitcoin with the desire to achieve most Bitcoin possible? Well, I do not speculate in stocks at all, but in general, it's worth observing that it's very difficult for a company whose underlying, oh, I'm sorry, I have messed up something here. It's very difficult for a company whose underlying asset is Bitcoin to not have a value that's strongly correlated with Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin miners are a little bit different because, of course, they have machinery and they have a certain cash flow and these things. So they're not just holding on to an asset like, for example, MicroStrategy does. MicroStrategy's correlation to the Bitcoin price is very high, maybe with a slight delay. Bitcoin miners are a little bit different. You have to speculate perhaps in whether or not they will be profitable in the short run or not. I find that too difficult again to play, especially when the difference is probably very small in terms of profit. So I would always hold the underlying asset. There's nothing wrong with going into stocks, and if you believe that somebody has a really good idea that you'd like to profit from, do invest in them, but make sure that the majority of your holdings are in Bitcoin, because I don't think it's going to be easy to beat that profitability no matter where you are, no matter where you place them. Fair enough, Svein. You will wait with your all-time high until we are at 670k Norwegian kroners. That's fair. You can celebrate as you please. All right, okay, guys. I think we have to skip back to the chart briefly before I play you the next video. By the time that video is over, we may already be at 58k, gang, and that's worth commemorating. So let's see here. We are now at oh, we touched 58k, did we? First 58k touch this year. Yes, we were at 58 and $2 just a moment ago. So 58k, gang, we are so back, people. Awesome. All right, here's a little video, and then we're going to go through some topics about why these all-time highs are happening. Probably not the most revolutionary info you've ever received, but good to talk about. All right, here's a little video for all of you for the occasion. Yeah. No, it's in the sky. I don't really care if you cry. Honestly, you should've never tried. Should've saw the way it pumped into the sky. He said, Bubba, why I'm still afraid to buy. Push him to the edge, all the bears are dead. Push him to the edge, all the bears are dead. Push him to the edge, all the bears are dead. Push him to the edge. Candles were all red, now they all green, like the prettiest forest that your eyes have ever seen. Shoulders got mad, squeeze them like a pimple now. Stops turning to fuel now, watch the way it moves now. Riding along all the way to the top, closing when it's falling over. But I keep holding my back a spot, revving up like my Lambo motor. They said it's a bubble, yeah, so I made it my name. Glad you gave us trouble, so I ripped that shit off my chain. It ain't mad I didn't buy a year ago. I was telling everyone I knew they didn't hear me though. We've been through I mean, these videos are classics, although this is from the last cycle, so they have a slight tinge of sort of that crypto vibe that was going on 4 years ago. But still, they hold up pretty well, given how much has happened since. These videos that I just shared with you right now, you can find on Little Bubble's YouTube channel. Little Bubble, like a fake rapper name kind of thing. So they're pretty cool. I don't know him. I can't guarantee against any shitcoining there. I do know that he's made some videos like these that I do like. I know he's made some videos that I don't like about DeFi and whatnot. But do check out Little Bubble if you enjoy this kind of meme music about Bitcoin. All right, guys, let me bring my screen up here. I'm supposed to. How do I do that? Okay, I have made a small mistake, but I do not know how to fix it at the moment. There we go. Yeah. All right, cool. Okay, so we've talked briefly about this when we went through the chart earlier, but different countries, there's a lot that's happened in the last 4 years. Let's just look at the chart a little bit to give ourselves a sense of time. Let's hide all the drawings, not that there's that many of them, and just give us a sense of time here. We can do some horizontal lines to remind ourselves what has happened. So Corona hit us in March 2020, right? So let's put in a little line in March 2020, first of all. That's where we see this big Corona dump when, you know what, I want to get rid of these drawings. You guys have a little bit of patience with me while we clean up this chart today, right? Yeah. So we have this moment here where Bitcoin, along with all other financial assets, crashes, in that case, from around 10K down to 3, 4K, because the world is shocked by the news of Corona coming in. Unlike the rest of financial markets, Bitcoin recover extremely rapidly and comes up to these all-time highs at 69K. A lot of governments around the world responded very differently to Corona, but most of them decided to do a remarkable amount of what you could call quantitative easing, printing a hell of a lot of money to keep the economy going at a time when most people had to go to home office. A lot of international supply lines were shut down, and people weren't going out to eat. They weren't going to use many services. There simply wasn't a lot of economic activity. And to compensate for that, central banks printed a lot of money. Some central banks did this more than others, and some central banks are lucky, like the USD, which can export the inflation from printing money to other countries, but none of them could avoid the inevitable destiny that comes when you start printing money, which is devaluing your currency. Now, that devaluation has happened at different rates in different countries. So the fact that Bitcoin is reaching all-time highs at different rates in different countries is a testament to the quality of their monetary policy over the last 4 years. And this is quite different from what we have seen, let's say, the first 10 years of Bitcoin. The first 10 years of Bitcoin, you could chart the Bitcoin chart, if you were so inclined, in almost any currency you would want, and they were largely similar. Like the charts were very overlapping and aligned, and you wouldn't get dramatically different results whether you were using the euro or the Norwegian kroner or the USD. That has changed dramatically, as you see here, just to give you a sense again of how different it starts looking after 2020. This is because of radically divergent monetary policy in the different countries. I don't know, for us Norwegians, the majority of my viewers are Norwegians. We know that there are, in addition, some very specific actions taken by the central bank that are very odd to weaken the Norwegian currency. We can go to the press releases of the Bank of Norway, and you will find a series of articles, press releases, every single month saying how many Norwegian kroner, how many million Norwegian kroner they are going to be selling. They will not purchase foreign exchange using Norwegian kroner, so selling Norwegian kroner every day, the entire month. And this has been going on now, I think, for almost a year. So every month, here you see 1,400 million Norwegian kroner per day up to the 15th of December. This has been going on over and over and over, and yet there is a complete confusion in mainstream media about why on earth is the Norwegian kroner losing its purchasing power? Why is it getting weaker? Why are our holidays to America becoming so expensive? Gee, I wonder if it could be because the producer of Norwegian kroner is dumping it on the market on a large and consistent scale over a long period of time. Unsurprisingly, this may be something that they can hide from the population. They can hide this from the population because nominal values of real estate and so on goes up when you weaken the currency, right? So a lot of people will see this and look at their property and say, oh, it went up 3% in value the last year, so there's no problem. Never mind that the currency was weakened by 15%, right? The result being that you need an objective, universal, external measuring stick to judge these things by, and that's where Bitcoin is perfect. It is completely free of press releases and monetary policy changes, and that means that it is the only stable asset that we can measure changes in other assets against. So we can really see that now, how useful Bitcoin can be as a goal, as a yardstick, as a goal stick. We can really tell the difference between how different currencies have behaved against Bitcoin since monetary policy started diverging in 2020. All right, so that's why it's happening and how it is possible. Where will it happen next? I do not know, but we can see. I would love to hear your suggestions. There are about 180 currencies around the world. Around 20 of them or so maybe have fallen already, and I believe the rest will fall very rapidly. Who do you believe is the next one on the executioner's block? I will take your suggestions in the chat, please. All right, let's look at your questions and see if we have any insights that you'd like to share. 58K gang, salute, exactly. 0.058 M gang now. Yeah, we come back to you now at the turn of the tides. I actually want to show you something funny I made yesterday, with the danger of turning this show into a check out my Twitter show. But I think this is worth showing. Just to commemorate our move to 58K. For those of you who are Lord of the Rings fans, this should resonate pretty well. It's Aragorn and Legolas and Gimli meeting Gandalf in Fangorn Forest. Gandalf! Gandalf? Oh yes, that's what they used to call me. 58K gang. That was my name. We have a new name. It comes back to us now with the turn of the tide. All right, it's fine to measure BTC an all-time high in NOK and fiat since that's what we got out of. Indeed, absolutely. All-time highs are always nominal. It has nothing to do with purchasing power. If you were really going to start taking, let's go back to Svein's comment that we need to consider inflation when we consider all-time highs. If you really want to take that logic to its natural conclusion, then you're going to have to count inflation since the dawn of Bitcoin's existence. And then you're going to find that you'll get a completely different number than if you just count inflation from 2020. So inflation is fortunately already accounted for by the early all-time high. We are having an early all-time high because the currency has weakened, because the central bank has had a divergent monetary policy, and in the case of Norway, even have had a active hand in trying to devalue the currency on international monetary markets. Yeah, just repeating myself there, I suppose. Was this printing M2? Yes and no. Obviously, it was not M2 when it started, because you had a tightening of monetary policy, and the money printing came a little bit later. That's not true. Now I'm mixing things up. First, there was an enormous amount of M2 printing in the short period just after Corona for about 6 months, and then we had a period of slight tightening because inflation started coming, and now we have had a period of what they think is very high tightening, but that has been counteracted by market movements done by the central bank directly. So I don't know. Honestly, that was not the most insightful thing I've ever said. So I don't know if I gave you a good answer, but I tried. That's all I can do. Let's see, people. I think that's the key thing to talk about today. Happy new all-time highs for those of you who already have it. Happy 58K gang for those of you who were a part of it. I do want to move on just to make you a few recommendations before I let you go for the day. I appreciate those of you who are still here. First of all, I want to recommend you guys check out halvingfestival.com. Norway is hosting its own halving festival. It's going to take place in the most based environment you can imagine on a Bitcoiners farm, where we will be eating wild hog and wild boar and have classic Viking competitions and just generally get together with Bitcoiners and have a great time in an historic for another historic moment in the Bitcoin world. So check out the halving festival. If you haven't yet, you might know that I am. If you don't know yet, you might know that I am been sponsored. Hold on, I'm trying to find the. Oh no! Let's move on here. Okay, I really recommend for those of you who do not have a Bitcoin wallet yet. If you're thinking of, there is a Bitcoin Bitbox giveaway. Not this month because I haven't simply not been able to do enough shows and enough announcements of a giveaway for it to make sense. But yes, we are going to continue with the Bitcoin Bitbox giveaways from next month again. So there will be another Bitbox handed out. And I quite liked the system we had last time. That comment right now, this broadcast isn't even posted on Patreon yet. But if you comment on Patreon, you will always join. Join the giveaway if it's a month where we do a giveaway. That's the intention of this. Great catch from Svein. There will be a Bitcoin meetup in Bergen on the 13th of March, and there will be a Bitcoin presentation at the academic quarter. That's a student venue in Bergen on the 12th of March. So if you're in Bergen or in the western part of Norway, do check out the Bitcoin meetup and the Bitcoin presentation. I believe there is also some events going on in Oslo. If you know anything about them, let us know in the chat right now so everyone can be informed right away. I'm going to check here to see if there are any missing. Yes, we have BitDevs in Oslo. BitDevs in Oslo are meeting on the 4th of March. That's going to happen at Agents AS. There's been a couple of Bitcoin events there before, so some of you may know the venue. And if you are interested in learning about Bitcoin development, then this is whether you are a beginner or experienced, this is the meetup for you. The BitDevs Oslo on the 4th of March. And then we have the Bergen Bitcoin meetup on the 13th of March and the Bitcoin halving festival just outside Oslo on the 17th of April. Although it says 17th of April, it's apparently a fluid date based on when the halving actually lands. It says 17th of April on their website, but as we can see from the time chain calendar, this is actually estimated to be on April 21st instead. So we'll see. Okay, Andreas is doing some meetup. Andreas is a plumber who gets paid in Bitcoin, and he has a really, really cool home-built Wim Hof venue. I've been there before, and it's really magical. So I believe he's doing some meetup, from what I hear in the chat, on the 23rd of March. In the video description, you'll find a link to the biggest Bitcoin Discord in the Nordics. If you go on this Discord, you will be able to ask these questions again and get more detailed information before the meetup takes place. All right, cool. I am going to send you off for today. I appreciate your attention, your time, and I appreciate that we all still get together for this journey as often as we can. It's really inspiring and important for the future we're going to live in. So have a great day. Take care of yourself and the people you love. And I will probably see you on Friday morning because this gets to be fired up and ready to go. Until then, go rock it. Yeah, crush it. See you later.
For we meet in an hour of change and challenge, in a decade of hope and fear. For the eyes of the world now look into space, to the moon, and to the planets beyond. We have had our failures, but so have others. even if they do not admit them. To be sure, we are behind, and will be behind for some time. But we do not intend to stay behind, and in this decade we shall make up and move ahead. But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win. The great British explorer George Mallory, who was to die on Mount Everest, was asked why did he want to climb it. He said, because it is there. Well, space is there, and we're going to climb it. And the moon and the planets are there, and new hopes for knowledge and peace are there. And therefore, as we set sail, we ask God's blessing on the most hazardous and dangerous and greatest adventure on which man